Fake watches are getting scary good, and here's what's happening. Something is happening in watch markets right now that most people aren't really paying attention to or paying enough attention to, which is the fakes are getting really good, not just slightly better, to the point where in some cases, even experienced buyers are getting caught off guard. And this isn't new, it's just evolving, which is scary. If you go back even 5 to 10 years, most fake watches were relatively easy to spot. And truth be told, fakes from 10 years ago still come into the office and they're pretty easy to spot. Wrong fonts on the dial, bad finishing, lightweight cases, lightweight bracelets. You could tell pretty quickly that it's changed. Today, some of these watches are being made with ceramic bezels and sapphire crystals and even movements that are built to mimic the real thing. Not identical, but close enough to where most people wouldn't know the difference without actually opening up the watch. And that's where the problem is, because most buyers don't open the watch. They look at it, they feel it, maybe compare it to photos, and if everything seems right, they move forward. From what we're seeing day to day, the biggest shifts is in the finishing and the overall feel. The weight is on, the edges are cleaner, the detail is tighter. Things that used to give away fakes really aren't, and it's not obvious anymore. There have already been cases where counterfeit watches made it through resale platforms like eBay and Chrono24 from other dealers before getting flagged later on. That didn't really happen at this level consistently until 6 months ago, maybe a year ago. And once something like that enters the market, it doesn't just disappear. It gets resold and passed around, sometimes multiple times. Now, here's where it gets real. A lot of people think this only happens when you're buying from sketchy sources. That's not always the case anymore. Once these watches get convincing enough, they can move through normal channels like dealer to dealer, and not everyone along the way can catch it. That's why this isn't just about spotting fakes anymore. It's about knowing who you're dealing with, because at this level, visual checks are not enough at all. You're relying on experience, you're relying on patterns, you're relying on thoroughness, and you're relying on someone who actually handles these watches every day. From what we're seeing consistently, the biggest mistakes happen when someone tries to save a little bit of money or move too quickly on a deal that feels good. That's usually where things can go wrong because there's a few bucks being saved. But the reality is the counterfeit side of things and the fraud isn't slowing down, it's improving. And as it improves, the gap between real and fake gets harder for the average buyer to recognize, and it's sad. So if you're buying a watch today, especially something in demand, you have to be more careful than you were even a few years ago. Where you buy from really matters more than ever. And I'm not just selfishly plugging us. There's plenty of other good dealers, but trusting them and where you buy from is most important these days. You have to work with someone who is good, because thoroughness will play through the fakes and typically catch them. Whether that person actually understands what they're looking at truly matters the most. And if you're unsure about a watch or just want a second opinion before making a decision, that's exactly the kind of situation where it makes sense to ask. And we're always happy to help. A lot of people email us just asking for our opinion. And if something like that interests you, the link is in the show notes below. We're happy to help. I want to know what you think. Have you ever seen a watch that looks a little off? Maybe didn't look right? Maybe didn't feel right? Tell me below. Let's discuss it. My name's Chris, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.